Sometimes that happens, I guess, technical difficulties, but now it should be working. I'm hoping it's working now. So, anyway, guys, welcome to KTR Christopher James. It is Monday or Thursday morning, and I got a lot to talk about. So, I hope the audio is on now. So we'll find out here in just a minute. Hopefully somebody will let me know that they can hear everything. So let me start all over again. Welcome to KTR Christopher James. It's Thursday morning. I just got off of work at a DJ gig, and I had some stuff on my mind, so I wanted to get out there today. So we're going to throw it out to you right now. I have announcing gigs coming up, a big schedule coming up. September 24th, I'll be in Biloxi, Mississippi, live on UFC Fight Pass for Icon Fighting Federation, their debut event, and it's going to be on Fight Pass. Dean Tools, the matchmaker, has put together an incredible card. I'm also going to be ring announcing earlier that night for Roy Jones Jr. boxing. So I'm doing double duty that night, a boxing show and an MMA show, and I can't wait to get up to Mississippi. 2 days later, I'll be in Tunica, Mississippi, excuse me, live on the BKTV app. If you haven't downloaded it, you should. Get it rolling, kids. Get it rolling. But download the app and tune in for Toe the Line. It's an offshoot of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. It's a developmental league. Happy and honored to be working with these folks and ring announcing for them. Then, after that, October 3rd, I'll be in Pensacola live for Island Fights. October 16th, I'll be back in Florida, Plant City, Florida, to be exact. And I will be announcing another Toe the Line series. And that's going to be awesome. And then October 22nd, we're heading off to Hermosillo, Mexico with the Roy Jones Jr. show, Roy Jones Jr. boxing show, and the Icon Fighting Federation event, Icon Fighting 2. So I'm really excited about all that, and we've got good stuff to do for you. So, and if anybody's tuned in right now, please let me know so we can make sure that the audio is working. Here, I'll find out right now. Let's see what's going on here. Icon Fighting 2. So, all right. So, yep. All right. Cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Dean. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't even get to see the comments there. They were like not showing up, and then all of a sudden I had comments, and you told me, so I appreciate it. So those are my announcing gigs. You see that on the bottom of the screen. Tonight, later this evening, 7 o'clock tonight, so in about 13 hours, I am going to be hosting another edition of KHR with Christopher James, but this time with guests. On the show tonight, we're going to talk with, at 7 o'clock, fellow MMA journalist James Lynch. He's a guy I truly admire and respect. I love his work. Fighters love to talk to this guy, and we're going to find out why they enjoy talking with Mr. Lynch. That's going to start the show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to talk with Louis Cosi. He and his brother, Orion, both earned contracts on Dana White's Contender Series on the same night. Two incredible fighters, an incredible story how these guys grew up on an Indian reservation. They were picked on and everything else, and the things they overcame to stay the path and stay the course and make it to the UFC. We're going to talk with Louis about that. He is the younger of the two brothers, and we're going to have him on the show to talk about his journey to the octagon. At 8 o'clock p.m., we're going to talk with another Contender Series winner who also got himself a contract. Jeff Molina joins us. He's represented by Iridium Sports Agency. Jason House and the boys over there, they do a great job. And we're going to talk with him about his trip to the octagon and what he plans on doing when he gets into the octagon for the first time officially under the UFC banner. This kid is technically proficient. He really can work well anywhere in the game. He's going to bring a lot of trouble, a lot of danger, and a lot of excitement to the division. So I'm excited to talk to him tonight for the first time. At 8:30 p.m., we're going to talk with a friend of the show. He also earned his contract this summer on Dana White's Contender Series, and then 3 short weeks later, he's in the octagon fighting. Impa Chilobo Kasunganai, 1-0 in the octagon, 8-0 overall. We're going to talk with him. This Sunday night, we're going to talk with 2 other people. UFC welterweight Nico Price is going to join us on the show. And then right after we get done talking with him about his upcoming bout with Cowboy Donald Cerrone, we're going to talk with my boss at Toe the Line, Nate Shook. He's going to give us all the details on what's going on with Toe the Line, answer all the questions about what exactly is going to happen there, how the fights are going to go, the rules, and everything. So that's going to be a good night on Sunday. Don't forget, tonight we start at 7, and Sunday we also start at 7. So now, what I want to talk to you guys about is former UFC light heavyweight champion John Jones, because he's moving to heavyweight. And, there's a lot of people, who think that, this might be his downfall. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who think that he's going to shine up there. I am one of the people that believes he's going to shine up there at the heavyweight division. And there's a few reasons why. I also want to talk about the guys that are going to be in front of him, because there's some guys up there that, may give him a little bit of trouble, but there's not really that many. However, the one guy that I think is going to give him a lot of trouble, and he's the guy who I believe actually has the best chance to beat John Jones or give him the toughest fight of his career, is one Curtis Razor Blades. Yep, that's what I said. Curtis Razor Blades. And I'll explain all of it to you. But first, let's talk about the guys that are up there right now that are being, ballyhooed around about how they're going to be the guy to fight John Jones first. Well, of course, there is the reigning heavyweight champion of the world, Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight in the divisional history. He's got the most title defenses. He's really that guy. Most consecutive title defenses. Then he came back, and now he's fought Cormier 3 times in a row, and he took the series 2 wins to 1. So that's going on, but what with Stipe up there, and Francis Ngannou being dubbed next by UFC president Dana White, there's a few things that are happening there, because Jones announced that he was coming to heavyweight right after Stipe won, basically saying, hey, I'm coming for that title. Dana White said clearly at the press conference and numerous times since that the next guy up is Francis Ngannou. He's earned it. Now, if we look at that fight, the first time they fought, Ngannou, as big of a puncher as he is, and as powerful as he is, he's very one-dimensional. He has no grappling. He has no wrestling. He has no jiu-jitsu. And Stipe exposed him. And Stipe beat him easy. So John Jones is better everywhere around the whole fight game, more well-rounded than Stipe Miocic. So John Jones and Francis fighting, I think Jones wins that. Now, there's always a puncher's chance that Francis has, and a lot of guys have been on the end of those punches and got folded. John Jones isn't going to be one of those guys. He's way too clever. He's fast. He's deceptive. He knows how to play defense. So Francis doesn't really pose a threat to him, in my opinion, except to have the puncher's chance. If John makes a slip of the foot or gets overly cocky and thinks he can stand there and take it, well, then he might get knocked out. But of the guys I'm going to talk about, I think Francis has the least chance to beat John Jones. Stipe Miocic is a champ. Now, of course, Dana also came out after the press conference and said John Jones definitely deserves to fight for the title in his first fight as a heavyweight. Now, that doesn't mean that the Francis fight isn't going to happen. It very well could happen while John is in what he's calling, bulking season. And he's trying to, grow his frame, grow the internal to fit that division. Although at 6'4" and with an 84.5-inch reach, if he puts on the weight and the size, he's bigger than everybody already right off the jump, except for maybe Stefan Struve. But nobody has the reach. Nobody has the length. Nobody has the height, the whole package, and is bigger than John Jones. So John Jones walking in isn't going to be the smallest man in the division. And He's going to fit in rather nicely with the group of heavyweights that roll around the 240-pound mark. Now, Stipe is the heavyweight champion. Stipe's a powerful man. He's got good boxing. He's got wrestling, but you don't ever really see it. So I'm not even going to call him a wrestler. He's a striker, and he wants to stand and knock your head off. And that's what most heavyweights want to do. They want to finish you on your feet or on their feet and just drop you. None of them really like to go to the ground and work. Well, not none of them. There is one. And again, we're going to talk about him in a minute. So Stipe and Jones, how do they match up? Well, Jones is bigger. Jones is faster. Jones has got better footwork. Jones is a better striker all around because you have to include the kicking game. And John is a master at the kicking game. He will, work to take out the legs of Miocic if they were to fight. He's faster and he's more accurate than Stipe. Stipe might have an edge in power, but you can't hit what's not there, and Jones will not be there for Stipe to hit as much as Stipe believes he will be. So I just don't see either of those guys giving John Jones, a difficult problem at heavyweight. So now if you go to the rest of the heavyweight division, let me pull this up right here on my screen so I can make sure I don't miss anybody, because I don't want to miss any of these guys I want to talk about. Athletes. I don't want to see any of that. Where are... Oh, here we go. Rankings. I missed it. So at heavyweight, you've got at the top Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades. DC is going to be removed from the rankings. Jairzinho Rosenstruck, Derek Lewis, Alistair Overeem, JDS, Alexander Volkov, Augusto Sakai, Walt Harris, Shamil Abdurkhaminov, Alexei Olenek, Cyril Gain, and Sergey Pavlovich. Those are the top 15, including Miocic. Now, Francis, we already discussed. Curtis, we haven't discussed yet. But we discussed Stipe and we've discussed Francis. Daniel Cormier, he would beat DC if DC stayed at heavyweight. Rosenstruck, he would beat him. Derek Lewis, he would beat him. He'd beat Alistair Overeem. He'd beat Junior. He'd beat Volkov. Basically, he would run this division. Now, the one guy that I want to talk about, because I don't think he gets enough pop for what he does, is Curtis Blades. He's the forgotten man in the heavyweight division. He keeps getting passed over and passed over. He's got 2 losses, both to Ngannou. Now, so that's why Ngannou's ahead of him right now for a title shot. Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of you guys may consider blasphemous, but hear me out. Daniel Cormier is an incredible wrestler. His resume, his accolades, you can't touch. However, the best heavyweight wrestler in the UFC in the recent few years, and may just end up being the best wrestler in the UFC when all is said and done at heavyweight, is Curtis Razor Blades. Not because Daniel isn't phenomenal, because he is. And on paper, you have to pick Daniel. But the reality is, when they go to the octagon, Daniel's looking to stand and strike. He's got the ego going on, especially after knocking out Stipe. So he wants to stand and bang with guys. Curtis Blades tells you in advance he's going to wrestle. He said it's going to be an ugly wrestling fight. I'm going to take you down as many times as I need to, and then I'm going to beat you up while I'm down there. Because he actually uses his wrestling, and I believe he holds the record for the most takedowns secured at heavyweight in the history of the octagon, Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the UFC, because strictly for the fact that he uses his wrestling, and it's coming and you're not going to be able to stop it. Even John Jones, and this is where I say the problem comes in for Jones. Jones has great wrestling defense. He's got great length. He'll be able to sprawl out some of these takedowns, but he won't be able to avoid them all because Curtis Blades is relentless in pursuing the takedown. And he is not going to stop till he gets you down there. And he's not going to stop grinding on you and putting his body weight on you until he can stay on top of you and maintain that position, because that's his game. He takes you down, he smothers you, he forces you to breathe heavy, he forces you to work, and then he starts throwing punches or elbows. And he's a big, heavy man. He's the same size as Jones as far as height. Jones probably has a little bit of advantage in leg reach, and he has a 4-inch reach advantage with his hands. But Curtis Blades will present the most danger to John Jones. Now, I'm not saying Curtis is going to beat John, but I think he's going to be the one that gets the closest, if not beating him at all. Because Curtis, if he gets you down and he can maintain on top of you, he's going to throw nasty punches. He's powerful. I mean, look what he's done to some of the guys, in, his last few fights where he, was really just taking dudes out. I mean, his last fight was Alexander Volkov. He won a decision. He gassed out a little bit. He underestimated the strength of his opponent. Before that, it was JDS. He won with knees and punches. He actually won standing up, which is a rare thing. Before that, it was Abdurakhimov, ground and pound. He beat Justin Willis by decision. He lost to Francis. He beat Alistair elbows in the guard. He beat Mark Hunt by decision, but he beat him up all through that fight. Same thing, Alexei Olenek, he beat him up through the fight, causing a doctor stoppage. This is what he does. And because of that, we're going to see if he ever gets the shot at Jones, then that's going to be the most challenging matchup for Jones at heavyweight. I believe that Curtis actually has a chance to beat John Jones. I know some of you may say that's crazy, but when you really look at what they bring to the octagon, you can't deny what Curtis Blades does. And if you guys are watching, hey, thanks for tuning in this morning edition of Cage Out. Christopher James. We're discussing John Jones moving to heavyweight and the fighters that are going to pose the biggest threat to him. The champ isn't going to be the biggest threat. Francis is going to be probably the least of a threat. Maybe Rosenstruck will be a little bit less of a threat, but I think Rosenstruck actually has more game. And Rosenstruck has that kickboxing. Like I said, Francis came into the game late, and he's taking time to develop. Not saying he might turn into, he can't turn into a grappler or a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but right now he doesn't show that. So him fighting Stipe again, Stipe doesn't want to do it. Stipe's fought the last 3 fights against the same guy. He doesn't want any more rematches. He wants something new. He wants a challenge. But the challenge that he's asking for could be John Jones. And that challenge is going to cost him his title, because John Jones will beat Stipe Miocic. Then he's at top of the division. Now the fights are going to come. Of course, they're going to try to book the Francis fight first, because everybody thinks that, Francis with his big power and Jones with his technical prowess, the matchup is going to be exciting to see. I don't think it's going to be as exciting to see as a lot of people think, because of the fact that Francis is one-dimensional. Francis doesn't have a well-rounded game. John Jones does. The only thing that can make that fight exciting is if Francis were to just, start unleashing wild overhands and just, shooting for the fences with his eyes closed and landing a lucky one, because Jones is not going to stand there and just be punched in the face by this mean, powerful guy. So, Derek Lewis, he'll walk through Derek Lewis, in my honest opinion. Derek Lewis said he was going to show us something else in his last fight. He didn't really show me anything different. He showed me the same guy, a little better cardio shape, and maybe a couple little things here and there, but not enough to say that he's changed completely. So Jones would walk through him. Basically, like I said, the whole top 10. Cormier is not there anymore. Rosenstruck, Lewis, Overeem, JDS, Alexander Volkov, Augusto Sakai, and Walt Harris. These guys would all get beat by Jones. I don't think there would be any even of these fights close. Curtis Blades, on the other hand, has the biggest advantage, because Curtis Blades is going to wrestle you. Curtis Blades is going to force you to work under him while he's, using his hips to maintain top position and putting his weight on you and making you try to shrimp or try to, get up against the cage panel to get up. Curtis Blades is the most dangerous fighter for John Jones. You heard it here first on Cage Up Christopher James. Curtis always gets overlooked, and that's terrible because Curtis has earned the right to get that respect. He's 14-2, 2 fights losing to Ngannou. Maybe that's his kryptonite, but there's nobody else out there that's beat him. So what do you do? Me, honestly, it's hard to, figure out the proper way to book these guys right now. But for me, it would be Jones versus Stipe. Curtis Blades is already booked to fight Derek Lewis. So that leaves a few options open, so Francis is the guy without a dance partner in this scenario. So who do you give Francis? Who do you give to Francis? You already crushed over Reem. Do you give him Alexander Volkov? They're going to have to go down deep here to find somebody because, again, Francis doesn't get the Miocic fight. Cormier's gone. Rosenstruck, he's already beat him. Derek Lewis, they already fought. Worst fight in heavyweight history. Reem. So, there's Alexander Volkov in there. I don't believe they fought. So that would be an interesting matchup, in my opinion. But other than that, who do they book him with? So he's going to be in a strange position if he doesn't get the title fight. However, they should put him in against somebody, and whoever wins that fight, if Jones and Miocic are booked to fight for the heavyweight championship ahead of Ngannou, which would also be ahead of Blades, and that's kind of a travesty of justice there. But I don't make the rules; I just report what's going on. So you just have to sit and wait and see how they're going to do it. But for me, it's Jones versus Miocic should be the next fight for the champ, the heavyweight champ, that is. Because even though Jones vacated, he's still the light heavyweight champ until one of these other guys fights each other, Blachowicz and Dominic Reyes. So they're going to fight for the vacant title. Nobody's going to really recognize them as the champ because neither of them were able to beat John Jones. So it is what it is. But Jones and Miocic should fight for the heavyweight title. Put Francis in there against somebody. Doesn't matter who at this point. And Curtis already booked against Derek Lewis. If Curtis wins his fight against Derek Lewis and John Jones is the champion after he were to fight Stipe, let's say, then John Jones would then fight Francis and Stipe would fight Curtis in that scenario. And then, the winner of that fight would probably get the next shot at Jones. The guys that are behind those 4 that I mentioned are really kind of not in title contention right now. There's a few new heavyweights coming up. William Knight just got there. I don't think they're going to catapult him to a title fight anytime soon, but you never know. Stranger things have happened in the UFC. So we just, sit back, relax, and see what they got going on. Don't forget tonight on Cage Talk with Christopher James at 7 p.m. You can see it on the scroll down there. Fellow MMA journalist James Lynch. Dana White Contender Series contract winners Louis Cosi and Jeff Molina, also a contract winner and rookie on the rise. Successful performance in his pro debut, took home a unanimous decision win. That wasn't even close. Impa Chilobo Kasunganai is going to join us on the show. My announcing gigs that I got coming up September 24th, Biloxi, Mississippi, RJJ Boxing and Icon Fighting Federation, all live on UFC Fight Pass. I'll be announcing 2 events that night. September 26th, 2 days later, I'll be in Tunica, Mississippi for Toe of the Line. It's an offshoot of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and I'm going to be their ring announcer, so we're going to have a good time there looking at the new talent that's coming to BKFC through this feeder system. October 3rd, I'll be in Pensacola for Island Fights. Those are my family, my familia, my home, my peeps. Love it. Can't wait to get back to Pensacola. They always show me the love. October 16th, I'll be home in Florida, just a little bit out of my neighborhood in Plant City, doing another Toe the Line event, another bare knuckle fighting event. Both the Toe the Line series events and all future Toe the Line series events are going to be streamed live and exclusive on the BKTV app. Make sure you download it so you can watch. So that's October 16th. October 26th. Oops, I got that date all wrong. October. I had October 26th. October 22nd, I'll be in Mexico, Hermosillo, Mexico to be exact, for Roy Jones Jr. Boxing and Icon Fighting Federation second event. So I'm happy about all that. Like I said, the biggest threat to John Jones' title, and you see it right there on my screen is Curtis Razor Blades. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to manhandle Jones the way Blades will. DC tried, but because DC, as great of a wrestler he is, doesn't implement it in his fights enough. He could have beaten Stipe if he had wrestled. He told us all he was going to wrestle, but he fell in love with the striking. JDS fell in love with striking, gave up on his jiu-jitsu. Jose Aldo, great practitioner of BJJ. When was the last time you seen him use it in a fight? Exactly. You don't, because he doesn't use it. It's a damn shame, too, because he is so damn good at it. And, but what are you going to do? It is what it is. So DC retires. Classy, by the way, too, the way he did it. He didn't leave his gloves in the ring. He gave Stipe his moment because he earned it. And he retired on the air Monday on the DC and Hawani show. So that's that. But John Jones coming into heavyweight, there's not really a lot of challenges there for him. He might get bored really quick. I mean, there's 3 fights there that have to be made, and that's Francis, Curtis, and Stipe. And after that, it's a crapshoot. But if Jones can go in there and let's say he fights Stipe first, beats him, gets the belt, fights Francis next because that's going to be the money fight everybody's going to want to see, beats him, keeps the belt, then fights Curtis and runs into a buzzsaw, and Curtis, pulls off the big upset because it will be an underdog in that fight, as is everybody against John Jones. So there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on John Jones and my fight events. For you guys just tuning in, the first few minutes of the video, there was no audio. I don't know why. There was a glitch in the system, but we got it fixed. So you might have to fast forward in about 4 or 5 minutes. I don't even know how long it was, but appreciate you guys tuning in with me this morning. I'm going to bed. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little KHL Christopher James early morning show, And like I said, make sure you check out the Icon Fighting Federation Facebook page, the Roy Jones Jr. Facebook page and website for both of those promotions. Check out Toe the Line, check out BKTV, download the BKTV app, download Fight Pass, and subscribe if you haven't already done that, because you're going to see a lot of me out there on both of those places, but you got to have the apps. You got to have the apps. Hey, yo, you got the apps? I got the apps. You got the apps? I got the apps. Get the fucking apps. Guys, thanks for being a part of my life this morning. Don't forget, like I said, tonight, 7 o'clock, we go live, starting with James Lynch, then Louis Cosi, Jeff Molina, and Impa Kasunganai. Sunday, it is me and Nico Price, and then me and Nate Shook from Toe the Line. It's going to be a great weekend, guys. We'll see you soon. See you guys later tonight. Until next time, I am Christopher James. Thanks for tuning in. You've been Cage Side, and we'll see you later. Have a good night. Peace out.